How you doing, man?
Doing, son, fresh off Christmas Day. A little bit of football mixed in there.
Yes, sir. The worst round of simulated golf ever recorded in history.
Callaway hoodies.
Prior. Looking fly, though. Feeling good. Ready for another episode.
Sponsorship.
Ready for another sponsorship, too. TaylorMade, we're open for business as well. Doesn't have to just be Callaway. We'll take any of them. Mizuno,
backwards hats
Ping.
in tribute to I almost said Ron Rivera.
Well, there's a Freudian slip for you to start off. Certainly looking like Ron Rivera. Commanders lose 23-20, 23-30 to the Cowboys. We will now fall to 4-12. So, but in the spirit of Ron Rivera, hey, we lost, but we showed some fight. Does that sound familiar?
Moral victory.
Moral victory. We've had, honestly, we haven't had a lot of those this season. It's just been a lot of ass kickings, but we at least got a moral victory in there. So that's cool. I mean, it looked like it was a competitive game. We watched it. We're just kind of chilling on Christmas Day, killing some time before the festivities started. And it was a decent game. It was a decent game. Josh Johnson played well. You got to give him a lot of credit, a lot of heart. I thought he did everything he needed to do. Is just
competent backup.
Yeah,
I mean more than competent. I had confidence in him going into that game. He's a pro, and I think he said in his post game, I always felt like he could play in this league. Just never really got the opportunity. He's just one of those situations. He's a competent backup.
Yeah, he played well. Probably secured himself another year as a backup somewhere.
Yep,
putting that on tape. Bill Krosky Merritt balled out. Johnny Newton did pretty good. Debo looked all right. Terry. Aside from that, man, his team stinks. It was pretty rough. I mean, the defense was just abysmal until the second half, and then they started getting some stops, and you wonder how much of that is them getting stops versus Dallas trying to make sure everybody gets out of there in one piece and play a little more conservatively towards the end of the game. It's Christmas Day. Let's get everybody home with their ACLs intact to their families, start opening up some presents.
Yeah.
But
Tyler Biadasz didn't get that memo.
But
no, I agree. The defense was just god awful in the first half. I mean, long drive at the long drive couldn't stop anything. I think the only takeaways from the game is you love what you saw out of Bill again. He seems to have revived himself these last couple of games. It's just an amazing 72-yard run, that burst. He looked close to hitting something like that a few times this year, but he finally hit one. And then what about Johnny Newton? That was just haven't seen a lot of that out of him, but that was about as good a stat line as you could get. I mean, 3 sacks, 2 tackles for losses, 5 quarterback hits, 9 total tackles. I mean, that's just a monster game by Newton.
Yeah, I mean, it was great play in the pass game for sure. He was a dog. He flashed. It was good to finally see a little bit of talent out of him show up, because frankly, been pretty forgettable what he put on the field. I mean, to the point that I was like, 95, 90, that's Newton, right? Is that Newton? And I was almost like laughed the first sack that he got. I was like, wow, we're at the Johnny Newton gets a sack part of the season. But he had a great game. He played really well. Ben Sinnott got 3 catches.
Career high, probably.
Yeah. Sammer still had a couple good plays, a couple bad ones. It's the thing with him. It just seems like he's always you're always calling his name, and it's either he makes a great play or he gets torched. There seems to be no play where you can forget about Mike Sammerstill, which is a DB. That's really what you want to do, is forget that he's out there.
When you're undersized, it's tough, right? I think he gives you a lot, pound for pound, but he's going up against those bigger receivers. There's not a lot he can do, right?
Which a lot of the NFL has big receivers, so that's a tricky situation there. But overall, it was a good one. So, you want to give out the awards real quick? You want to let the people? I mean, let the people have it. You want to talk more about the game? How you feel? I mean, what more is there to if we're not going to go down, we talked about this earlier today, right? You could sit here and you can gloom and doom this situation until you're blue in the face because, frankly, it all sucks.
No, it does suck.
And it's a terrible place to be. Maybe we're still feeling some of the punch crema from last night.
Great Christmas celebration.
But for us, because we don't have a dedicated time slot to fill per se, what's the point in sitting around and going around? You guys hear all that constantly about all the negativity, how bad things are. There's nothing new to add to that conversation. So I don't see the point in going around about how bad this is and how we need to blow everything up. You know how we feel. We'll see what's going to happen.
So I guess you could kind of go into, we don't really have awards. I mean, I said Bill Krosky Merit Sauce Award. We could call Johnny Noonan Co-Sauce. End it there.
Sure. Love it.
We'll give them our awards. I thought from a Kekats perspective, lest we forget the Kekats, the refereeing at times was just mystifying. The call against Dak, the roughing the passer, a 15-yard penalty, he gets up. He's still in the play. They could say they called him down, but come on, it wasn't a vicious hit or anything that bad. It's way too punitive. A couple of PI calls that were just ridiculous. Again. And these are situations that if you're going to win a game like that, you give them another opportunity to extend a drive when you're having trouble stopping them and you finally get a stop or a big play, for a loss. I just don't just part and parcel for the year, but we're just not getting any calls.
Yeah,
right?
And you had Dak, there were 3 guys there that were going full speed to make that hit. It's not like you had one guy after the play. It's there were multiple people who were culpable in that roughing, which to me further exemplifies that it was unclear. We didn't know watching live whether or not it was blown dead. And then once they said it was blown dead, I went, oh goodness, they're going to call roughing the passer. And then sure enough, they do. And there's no way for you to tell if we can't tell live on our 70-inch 4K TVs with, full attention on the game with the camera zoomed out to exactly where you could see if his knee hits the grass and you can count the blades of grass under his kneecap. How, if you're playing full speed, running around the edge, you get a free look at the quarterback, how can you tell that he was down?
Especially when he continues to play.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he continued to play. He continued to, he didn't give himself up. So, but anyway, I mean, I guess to go back to your original question, I think that there's things that you can point to in this game. What I liked was Bill's performance, obviously. Yep. I like seeing Debo kind of look like Debo. He showed some burst. He took the kid's helmet off on that one great play. We couldn't finish that drive, but, that was good to see. Johnny Newton, where have you been? But good to see that performance. So we're seeing some of the young guys step up. You mentioned Ben Sinnott. That's good. And it does feel like Cliff can dial up an offense that can do some damage regardless of who his quarterback is, who his running back is, who his receivers are. I got to give Cliff some credit. We've been a little up and down on him this year, but, I think generally he can call a pass game. I'm not sure he can call a consistent run game, but he can call a pass game. But that defense, you just can't win with that defense. And,
it's unusable.
I mean, they're hurt by injuries too. You lost your starting corners. You lost your starting
4 of your starting
defensive ends.
Yeah.
So they're hurt by
Payne was out.
But but they've just been bad. They've been consistently bad all season, regardless of who's been in there.
It is tough to just say what do you do defensively when you're missing 3 of your top rotation guys on the defensive end on a line that was already kind of pass rusher by committee. And it was the whole idea that we don't have one stud, but we have a lot of good depth at pass rusher. Okay, well, you lose 3 guys. You're down to pass rushers 4 through 7, basically. And then you've got your starting tackles not playing. You already gave up another tackle last season that you had that was a core of the line, who seems to be playing pretty good out in Minnesota. And then you lose your 2 starting outside cornerbacks for the season, one of which, okay, you could agree was maybe addition by subtraction
Better
with
than
Lattimore.
the guys you got in there.
But Amos was playing. He was the best individual defender this year.
Yeah.
So you end up in a really, really peculiar situation in terms of what you can call. I think they're really poorly coached, and I think the scheme is bad, and I think they were still miserable when everybody was healthy. So I don't know how much that counts for, but at this point, it's certainly a factor, and is it just leaves us to what do you do? So next week, Eagles, week 18 on the road against Philly. They don't got much to play for.
It's not certain, right? They're the 3rd seed right now. They got to play the Bills, which is interesting. Kind of maybe an important game for the both of them, but yeah, very well could be that this game doesn't mean a whole lot for them. They're not going to lose the 3rd seed because that it's that South Division.
Yeah,
they're going to win by default, right?
We are pre-recording this a little bit, so
we're not seeing the
prior to the weekend games
results. But so yeah, I mean, there's a good possibility that game doesn't mean anything to Philly. But I think we got to ask ourselves, who knows who Philly will play or not? What do we do? I mean, do you roll a Terry McLaurin out there? Do you, how many of our guys should we sit? Josh Johnson will do a decent job. Like, it's as much as I'm sure we would like to get some revenge on them. If they're playing all their backups, how much do you really care? Like, it's a mess, man. I think the biggest thing to look forward to next week is to get the game over with and get to the post-game pressers from Josh Harris and Adam Peters. And we hear from Dan Quinn all the time, so we won't hear anything new there.
Well, he never says anything anyway.
I'm sure it's going to be a vote of confidence for Dan, and but I would say we've got tons of time to talk about it. We're gonna spend time really focused on, the playoffs. We're gonna really get into playoff mode. We're not gonna talk a lot of Commanders unless there's news. Maybe we'll give a little bit of recap on those those end of year pressers and whatever's said there. But for the most part, we can't wait to talk some football. There's a lot of interesting stories across the league. I'd expect Philly's going to be huge favorites regardless. It's in Philly. Man, we're 0-8 in those standalone games, primetime games, whatever you want to talk about it. It's just incredible to think how the season has gone. Philly's still a contender in the whole thing, right? They don't win pretty, but they're in every game, and they still could be in a position to make a run. I guess that Central Division, Chicago's in control, but the Green Bay's still in contention.
The North, yeah.
Yeah, the North, sorry. Anyway, I mean, AFC, it's a lot of the playoff spots are pretty locked up at this point. I think it's just between Carolina and Tampa are the only open spots, and then the Steelers and the Ravens out in the AFC. Other than that, everything's pretty well locked up.
Yeah, and you have a pretty good feeling about how both of those are going to end up too. So it's gonna be interesting. It'll be a fun playoffs this year. No, more than likely
no local teams.
No local teams. Especially with Lamar being hurt, not playing this weekend. You wonder. I mean, you got conversations about people saying, are they better off with a fully healthy Huntley versus whatever Lamar they've been getting recently, which is
Christmas Day.
Which is
conversations
wild
about the Ravens, huh?
Yeah.
So our family's kind of split at this point. I'd say more Commanders fans than Ravens fans, but there's a good mix of Ravens fans in there as well. So we had a pretty good Ravens conversation.
Definitely. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, with Harbaugh and Lamar. I mean,
wow. What? It's crazy. They're 7-7. They're not 4-12 like we are. They're 7-7. They're right there. And you start off 1-5. You have slow start. Lamar's hurt. You figure if Lamar is just healthy, and granted, I will be the first to tell you, they were bad when Lamar was healthy to start the year. I was loving it because I thought we were going to turn it around, and I thought the Ravens were going to be atrocious this year. We were going to go win the NFC. Boy, was I wrong.
Haters going to hate.
But I mean, if there's way more reason to panic, in my opinion, on our side of the Beltway than theirs.
Well, I think they're at an interesting crossroads, right? Because Harbaugh has been there a long time, really good coach, but feels like things are getting a bit stale with him. And Lamar can't stay on the field. I mean, we're having that conversation, but ours guys is a year or two guy. He's had a couple 3 years now that injuries have really impacted his performance.
But every year that he's not been hurt, everybody yells at me for 20 weeks about how he either was or should have been the MVP. Every year that he's healthy. So I don't understand how, if you've got a guy that out of 10 years, 7 of them, he gives you a legit shot to win a Super Bowl, how is that not a better situation than 28 teams in the NFL? I mean, Mahomes just tore his ACL. They had a terrible year this year with him healthy, and next year they're going to be impacted by that, right? Allen is consistently great. He's the only one.
Yeah, bizarre situation in Cincinnati with Burrow, right? I mean,
who also has been hurt more than Lamar.
There's some young guys that look pretty good, and Caleb and up in New England with May. I mean, the reality is they came out in that New England game like on fire, and it's amazing. One fumble, they're driving to go up 14-0, and one fumble, Derrick Henry kills them. Derrick Henry plays great the rest of the game. They mysteriously, because of some running back rotation, this is where I go on about Harbaugh. You kind of fall asleep at the wheel a little bit there by not having Derrick Henry in the game.
Well, you got 2 minutes.
In a situation where you're just down one score.
2 minutes and 7 seconds left. They cannot stop the run.
Exactly.
You have the ball. You have all 3 timeouts, and you don't even threaten to run the ball.
Yeah.
Whatever. I guess
that's what it's come down to.
Not a Ravens.
This is
podcast,
the Ravens Talk podcast from Dom and Pop.
What's crazy is if you said the best quarterbacks in the NFL going into this season, well, we all agreed, consensus, right? And we were looking at it from who are the guys you absolutely cannot put Jaden Daniels above, right? And you said Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Burrow. Right? That was everybody's top 4, and then some people put Hurts 5. We put Hurts 5, Jaden 6, even though we'd say long term you'd probably rather have Jaden, but you give the respect where it's due, right? Out of those 4 guys, one of them has made the playoffs this year.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
it's nuts.
Not
this
only
year.
our season has gone on tilt with the Commanders. I mean, who could have envisioned 4-12? I think some of us thought, okay, you could see a 7-10 year, an 8-win year,
completely off the rails.
I mean,
I love it.
But you got like you said, Ravens have a bad season. Chiefs, I mean, you would have thought they would be automatic for the playoffs. They're out of it. They were out of it with Pat.
15-1.
They were out of it with Pat. Detroit. Detroit, I thought was one of the best teams in football. They're out of it. So you've got at the top of the AFC, you've got Denver and New England, and at the top of the NFC, you've got Seattle and Chicago. I challenge anyone to show me a prediction before the season that said those were your top 4 teams. It is a wild year. It's I think it's an outlier year in many ways, which we want to hope is the case as Commanders fans. But, man, it's a year-to-year league, week-to-week league. If there's anything that shows it more than that, it's going to be a wild ride. We're on record picking the Bills and the Rams. You can adopt the Rams as your home team, have a little fun here. I'll do it too. Why not? But, we're burgundy and gold through and through. But I think it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be a fun playoffs to watch. We're going to have you covered. We're going to pick games every week. We're going to talk about and react to the games, plus look ahead. and maybe we'll do a little bit of we typically do a playoff bracket, so we'll probably knock that out at some point next week. But what can you say? We hope to be a little bit of your therapy. I know we're each other's therapy a little bit when it comes to this.
Gotta
team,
be.
but I got to keep it in check. It's hard to think that we're got to go another 8-9 months of off-season talk now, but it is what it is. Got to have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's wow. I mean, it really, the more and more this goes on, the more last year, it almost feels like it didn't happen. Like, it's just like, because I'm used to this. I'm used to the what's the point. This is out of 3 years. This is the second of 3 years that we've won less than 4 games, right? Because there's no way we win that game next week, and if we do, I'd argue
you only win it if it just turns into a total exhibition game and the Eagles just punt on it.
We really, like, there is a legit chance, very legit chance, that we end this season watching Sam Howell beat us.
Oh man, I like Sammy.
That can you imagine?
But I don't like him wearing green.
Is there a better way to finish off the kicking the Polinas that this season has been? Kids, don't Google Translate that. Is there a better way to encapsulate that
I think
than for Sam Howell, who finally got his franchise left tackle, like they said we should have done for him, right? Is there a better way than for him to beat us? I think it's the best way to go out.
I know we got regular listeners that disagree with this take, and it's fair. Like, we can take whatever negativity is coming our way this year. It's hard to defend. I think you got to remind ourselves we've got a new owner who's miles better. Miles isn't even the right term. It's just a complete different scenario in terms of who's running the organization. We got a stadium deal. I think we've got a professional GM. That doesn't mean he's going to be perfect, right? Doesn't mean he's going to be perfect. Doesn't mean he's going to make every pick right. I think when we looked at it this offseason and we looked at going into the year, it made sense to kind of, do a redo, bring guys back, try to add pieces in certain areas. I always felt they didn't do enough to add talent to the defense. But they went on in with Jaden Daniels. I think if we start the season, you say Jaden Daniels is only going to start 4 games all year, maybe 4 wins sounds about right. And, I think it's just injuries is the biggest story, biggest output come to that. And the biggest story in that is how much time Terry had to miss and how much time Jaden missed. And I think on the positive side, it's great to see Terry back doing Terry things. Some of the young guys are starting to contribute. I'm still optimistic that this can be a quick turnaround. And maybe it's not, we go from 12 wins to 4 wins to back to 12. But, I expect this to be a competitive, playoff contending football team next year. And they got to go all in. With that in mind, they've got to go all in, whether it's free agency, making sure you bring the right guys back. And obviously, whatever draft picks they got, they've got to hit on those.
It's an interesting, the do they have to go all in conversation is an interesting one that I think we can have in the off season, because
it's a make or break year for DQ. It's a make or break year for Jaden. You have to. Josh Harris doesn't
the
have
question,
to. He calls the shots.
That's the question I want to ask that we'll talk about it another time.
Yep.
Is, do you have to if you are Adam Peters? Because do you want to going all in infers we got to build this thing for the success of next season. And again, I ask you, how many head coaches go in to year 3 in a must-survive scenario, which is why I'm in favor of taking care of things now. How many head coaches go into year 3 in a must-survive scenario and coach past their first contract?
Well, here's a couple things.
And do you build your team around that, considering there's a chance that, because if you go all in next year and they win 11 games and they lose in the first round of the playoffs, whatever. And then the year after that, year 4, they do this again.
Well,
you're getting rid of Quinn.
It depends on what your definition of all in is, and your definition of it, how you explained it there. I agree. You can make. I think where they've made mistakes, where they made big mistakes, is making short-term decisions that hurt your long-term objectives, right? Which is to build a sustaining winner, build a sustaining contender. And I think where they took a step back in year 2 in the decision making was they traded away some draft kicks. They had some misses there, right? And they hurt their future. And that's what you don't want to see. So when I say go all in, it's don't get outbid for that free agent wide receiver who you really want on your team. Overpay a little bit. But you need to know that's a talented guy that you're going to have on a 3 or 4 year contract, if that even exists. That's what I mean by going all in. Like not trying to...
Not hitting the bargain bin again like we did last year.
Bin. Overpay a little bit for the guys you really want to land. Go younger, get younger, for sure. No more of these 1 year rentals. But we've got it. We've got to get more help, and you've got to hit on your picks, right? And that's some of my definition of all in is just that you've got to hit. But I think their opinion of Dan Quinn is different than ours, right? It could be. I don't know. I can't get in their head. But I think AP and Dan Quinn are super tight. And not that some doubts haven't grown, but I don't think they're going in the next year thinking, it's a make or break year necessarily for Dan Quinn. It will be if the reality is if he goes 4-12 again, he's gone. He might be gone by middle of the year, and if you have another year like this, right? So,
just do it now, man.
But you got Jaden, right?
Don't waste your prime years with the girl you're not gonna marry. Just do it now, man. Anyways, let's wrap this thing up. We're 27 minutes in. It's only downhill from here. We're gonna start just feeding the beast if this keeps going. So let's wrap this thing up, guys. I guess you're not getting a full Philly preview.
No,
this is what you got. Merry Christmas.
It's hard to preview.
Happy holidays.
Preseason game.
It's not even a preseason game. Preseason games are more meaningful.
Postseason.
Let's wrap this thing up. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you for another great week, everybody. Hail to the Commanders.
Hail.